Okay. You know what it is? It's the next day. I have not done anything further on the Jonsered 630. Oomph. I'm about to enter stage 2 of the process of dealing with this. All right. That's one thing I wanted to check out that I didn't make clear in the video. The wrist pin and the crank bearing, the wrist pin bearing and crank bearing are good. All right. The steel's turning smooth. There are no catches, no crunchy feelings. So the very next step is to remove the clutch and oiler. So let's get on with that. So if you're watching this video for the first time, what we're trying to figure out is two things. So first off, this got sent back to me. It got sent out for porting, and the porter wasn't comfortable going further with it because, well, he wasn't comfortable going further with it. Nothing wrong with that. And I want to stick to that. Those of you guys that are like, this isn't a normal relationship. All right? This is the YouTube world. I'm a YouTuber. Aaron Lynch is a YouTuber. He agreed to port this without getting any money. My point that I'm trying to make is, some of you guys that are wanting to point out some sort of possible flaw in Aaron sending this back to me, I don't think that you should do that. I think that you should see the situation for what it actually is. There we go. See the situation for what it actually is. And that is, he's another YouTuber that has agreed to build this for me for free. He is also a subscriber to my channel and regularly watches my videos. Probably not all of them. God, probably not. I put out a lot of them. But the point in saying this is he's doing this for me because he likes my channel and it'll help his channel to grow. I'm wanting it to go to him because I like his channel and it'll help my channel to grow. That's how this stuff's done, all right? And I also think he's a good builder. Like, I wouldn't send this to somebody, this particular saw. I would send a saw to somebody that I thought was a bad builder or could possibly be a bad builder, just so that I could see what was up, you know what I mean? But anyways, the point is he's seen all the videos that Cajun has done, and he saw all the bullshit work that Cajun had to do on that 281. And that was a saw that I sent Cajun that was supposed to be perfectly ready to get ported. And he had all kinds of bottom end failures on that saw. So Aaron is wanting to sidestep that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have nothing against Aaron sending this back to me. He did the right thing. There we go. That's it. Smooth as butter. That's the way a crank is supposed to rotate. Perfect. So, yeah, great. That is fantastic news. It's a little shitty that it got sent back, but no, there's nothing wrong. And I am completely confident in that at this point. 100%. So what was the problem? What was causing it to bind there? It wasn't actually binding. It was just a little stiff. The problem was really simple. It was a combination of brand new seals and turning the oil pump. And that's it. So, problem one, check it's not a problem. This is just brand new seals. Yeah, that's it. So you see how that rotates? That's slick. No issues there whatsoever. I'm going to put this back on. There we go. Totally slick. Now, right off the get-go, yes, it is more difficult to turn. And it's just that seal. It's definitely not turning like it was before. Excuse me. So I feel confident in saying that stiffness is done and over. We need to no longer focus on that. Now what we turn to is the color, the discoloration. Well, thanks to one of you guys and your thoughts. Sorry. Here we go. I think that I have figured out the gray stuff. This is my theory. My theory is simple. That gray stuff is metal eating metal, all right? Mixed up with the fuel and oil, and it got left behind as residue. That's my theory for the gray stuff. However, my only thought for the gray stuff is, yeah, there's something kind of sort of munching on something else, but it will go away. It does have a bit of grit to it. It really does. I definitely think that it's metal on metal, but I think that's the break-in of the rings. That's what I think. Do I know this to be the case? No, but there doesn't appear to be anything rubbing against anything else. There's no scratches, grooves in the cylinder from the piston. It could be the actual piston itself breaking into the cylinder, not necessarily the rings. The piston itself breaking into the cylinder. This is a rare case because I feel like most people don't put a fresh saw together. And when I say fresh, I mean it was completely fresh. I took it completely apart. I cleaned it out completely. I put new bearings, new seals, new gaskets throughout. So, whenever a person does all that stuff, typically it stays together for more than 7 or 8 cuts. Because that's all I did. I fired it up on camera, and I tuned it, and I ran it, and then I shut it down, and I drained it of the fluids, and I sent it to Aaron. So I think most people would have at least a full tank of fuel through it before they broke it apart because something wasn't right. And I think that really the gray stuff is just Very natural break-in. I feel very confident in the bottom end at this point because I did. You just saw me. I took this clutch off, and I took the oiler off, and it immediately freed things up. See, the good thing about the oiler on this is it holds the crank seal. And since it holds the crank seal, I can remove it and then put the crank seal back on, and I didn't have to ruin that crank seal. See what I'm saying? And I feel completely confident that if I took this side off and the crank seal on this side, it would really spin freely. So what I'm doing is I'm completely eliminating the possibility of the crank being bad. I'm completely eliminating the possibility of the bearings being bad and the bearings throughout the crank as well, the wrist pin bearing and the actual crank bearing as well. So we're good. We are good. So I'm going to put this thing back together. Aaron, ball's in your court, man. That gray stuff, maybe something is chomping away at something else. My opinion is, it's just break-in. That gray stuff is just break-in. Yeah, you're probably losing a part of the piston. I don't have any. Yeah, I can believe that. You're probably losing part of the piston. Could be these rings. Now it's good Caber ring. It's a Meteor piston. A Meteor uses Caber rings, so that's good stuff there. No problem there. But it's just break-in. The only thing that is weird is I ran this saw so little that the original, first off, the flash metal and the break-in stuff that normally gets flushed out after a tank or two, well, it's still in there because it hasn't been ran enough. I think that's all you were seeing, buddy. So, at this point, ball's in your court, Aaron. Listen, man, if you don't want to do it, say, I don't want to do it. I get it. I totally get it. But if you're concerned that there was something going on with the saw, which I know you were, I don't think you need to be. I've inspected it. We're good. Ready to go. But if you don't want to do it, I totally understand that. Listen, man, this is free work. And you viewers out there need to understand and cut him some slack. If he doesn't feel comfortable doing this, then he shouldn't do it. If he just simply changed his mind because he doesn't like the new haircut I got, he's allowed to do that. All right? Me and Aaron are buddies. Well, I mean, as much as buddies who live states apart and never talk to each other can be. I like his videos. He seems to build a good saw. Met him once in person. We had a good time. That's about it. But yeah, if you want it, you let me know. I'll send it back to you. Of course, there's no harm. You did the right thing. You weren't certain about it. But now I broke it down. It's fine. It's fine. That gray stuff it's not leaking. The crankcase isn't leaking. It's not. There would be oil in there. Like actual bar oil from the crankcase getting in there. I had a lot of good suggestions. I'm just not seeing any problem whatsoever. That gray stuff happens whenever the metals, you're losing layers of metal until they actually bind together. And then at that point, or fit together properly, and then at that point, you still continue to lose metal. You continue to lose metal. That's why your ring, ends up getting to where you need to replace it. That's why your piston gets really shiny on the skirts here, because it's bouncing back and forth. So I think all it is was the rubbing of these metals together. Everything in there, everything's brand new. The bearings, the piston, the ring, the cylinder is newly and freshly honed. So all of this stuff needs to seat in together, right? And that metal mixes up with the fuel and oil and creates a gray paste. That's what's in there. And it'll go away after a tank or two of fuel. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you want to do, buddy. Whatever it is, I'm behind you, and it's cool. Okay, so I'm not sure how this video turned out. I know I did a lot of rambling. Just in case I don't want to have all that in there, I'm going to do this and I'm going to summarize. In summary, crank's perfectly fine, bearings are perfectly fine, the seals are perfectly fine, the crank as a whole is perfectly fine. The only thing, it was a little bit stiff, but as soon as I took the oiler off, all that stiffness went away and it rotated perfectly fine, just like a good little crankshaft should. And so that tells me those crank seals are just tight. That's all they are. Just break in. Now the gray matter that's inside of this thing, that is a little bit of a different concern. What's causing the gray matter? The gray matter is the only thing. I had a lot of things offered up as explanations from you viewers, and I appreciate that. There's nothing coming in from the oil reservoir. All right, there's no bar oil getting into the crankcase. Nothing like that. There's no crazy scratches. I mean, there's a tiny amount of scratches on the piston itself, but there's definitely no scratches in the cylinder. Nothing is eating away at itself that isn't supposed to eat away at itself. So therefore, what that leaves us with is it's just normal break-in. That piston slaps at the bottom. Now, if it does this too much, you can hear it, and it's called piston slap and everything. But it does. The piston skirt hits against the cylinder. It's part of it. It's how it happens, right? Well, with a brand new piston, it's going to break in just like anything else. With brand new ring, it's going to break in. There's going to be metal on metal, plus that cylinder is freshly honed. So there's metal on metal that's rubbing against each other. On the crankshaft, not really on the crankshaft, but the bearings, the crankshaft bearings, those are brand new. And they're going to eat away at each other a little bit, right? There's going to be metal on metal contact that is new and it needs to smooth out on the piston to the cylinder and the ring to the cylinder. All of this stuff creates a dust. That dust gets trapped by the oil and gas mixture, you know, your fuel, and it has coagulated into a little bit of a smudge, right? This is completely normal. The only thing that is abnormal with this right here is normally whenever somebody completely rebuilds a saw from bottom to top, like I did with this, they run 2 or 3 gas tanks through it before they even look in there. It doesn't even come apart. If everything goes right, it doesn't even come apart for years. And so this thing got completely rebuilt. I fired it up. I put it in the wood, probably did 6 or 7 cuts with it, maybe, something like that. And then I shut it off. I probably didn't even run a tenth of a tank through it. You know, I just didn't run it much at all. And so it didn't have enough time for the fuel to wash everything out and the break-in. It didn't even get a heat cycle, you know? So that's where the gray stuff is coming from, in my opinion. And Aaron, ball's in your court, buddy. If you want to build this, I say it has a clear bill of health. This thing is good now. If you don't want to build it, I get it. I totally understand. You know, no harm, no foul. We're perfectly kosher, okay? But there are, a few people on my video that were trying to say that maybe Aaron should have looked at it a little bit closer, things like that. I disagree. I think that Aaron did the right thing because he's doing this port job for free. I'm a YouTuber. He's a YouTuber. I want this built by him because it's going to help out my channel, because to see me run a chainsaw built by Aaron Lynch. It's going to help out his chainsaw to have a chainsaw on my channel. What did I say? It's going to help out his channel. This is the way it works. The YouTube world can bring some really awesome stuff, but it can also bring some weird stuff too. And you have to learn how it works. And you can't just say, oh, he should have done this. He should. Aaron agreed to port and polish this chainsaw. But what he saw was I sent the chainsaw to Cajun, to Pat, the 281 XP, and he had to tear that thing all the way down because it needed crank bearings. We put a lot of work into that. Pat didn't sign up for that, but he went ahead and went through with it and did it. All right? Is it because Pat's a good guy and Aaron isn't? No, that's not it. Pat just felt like doing it. It had already happened. The ball was in his lap. And trust me, I feel bad about it. I didn't want it to happen. It was a shit show, okay? But it happened, and that's how he dealt with it. Aaron, having seen Pat have to deal with that shit, all right, rightfully says, I ain't signing up for that. And I don't blame him one bit. Not at all. He wanted to make sure that this thing didn't have a bad bottom end. It seems completely normal to me. The only thing other than actual just wear that I can see it possibly being is, the magnesium, because this thing has sat for a long time. Maybe the magnesium case has begun to rot, and hopefully that'll wash out after a few tanks and be good to go again. But I don't even think that's it. I think that it's literally dust from all of the brand new surfaces mating up against each other. And after a few tanks, we won't notice that at all. But anyways, so that's the story of the 630. Aaron, it's in your court, buddy. If you want to build it, let me know. If you don't, I'm fine with that. All right. But I want to address something else too, because I was recently made aware that there's a few people, or some people, or a lot of people that might think that I was bad-mouthing the 281 XP that Pat built for me. I can't help the way that some people think. All I do is I get the saws, I test them, some win, some lose, and I tell you what I really think of them, and that's it. And if you want to draw conclusions outside of that, I mean, who am I to stop you? I'm not going to let it affect my life. Me and Pat are cool. I think the saw that he built is bang up. It's really cool. I can't wait to take it to Sawfest and show it off and let other people run it and be like, yeah, Pat built this. Cajun right there. Look at it. Yeah, that's his little alligator on the side and stuff. You folks out there that over dramatize stuff, I don't even know why you do it, honestly. I'm like, I'm a pretty dang simple guy. I like chainsaws, and I think it's cool as can be that Pat built me a good one, and we can get his name out there. It's clearly it's pretty badass, runs great, and I don't know. I think a lot of people just, because I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I think there was two things, actually. That's what it was. There was two things, I guess, where they probably conceived it as me talking bad about it or bad-mouthing the saw that he built for me. Whoa, that guy's bad mouthing saw you built for him or something. Whatever, I can just hear it now. Whatever. But the two things is, one, I think it cuts faster with the 7-pin sprocket. It's the way I like it. Feels good, feels better. Feels better with a 7-pin sprocket. Okay. Now, if I'm running a race and I'm cutting through 10 or 12-inch pine, am I going to put an 8-pin sprocket on it? Yes. All right. But in my big oak that I'm running here, I like the way it pulls with a 7-pin. Okay. If you think that's me talking bad about his saw, then you got some real problems. You got some stuff, some marbles loose rolling around up there. Okay. Because that's not me talking bad about the saw. You know what else I run a 7-pin sprocket on? My 592 XP. Yeah, I mean, I prefer the pull of a 7-pin sprocket in nearly everything that I do. So, whatever that's about, I don't know. The other thing is, whenever I was saying that, it wasn't as fast as I thought it would be. Now, I can see how somebody would think that I was saying something there, but if you don't know me, then you don't know the way my mind works. And the deal is I have myself all pumped up like crazy, like I always do over everything. And if you know me, then you've had this conversation with me, right? I've had this conversation with Pat. And that is, it's still just a chainsaw, I hype myself up over it because I'm excited about it. I'm like, wow, I'm really excited about this. And then whenever it comes down to it, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. It's fast and everything. But I have felt this power before, And the only thing that has truly shocked me, even Grant's bike saw does not get counted in this because it's a bike saw. I was expecting that thing to have 60 horsepower. It lived up to what I thought it was going to be, I guess. But the only thing that really shocked me is that 365 special that I have, the race chainsaw. That thing blew my mind because it's as powerful as a 90cc saw, and it's only 65cc. That's a big deal. But it's also got like a motorcycle carburetor on it or a snowmobile carburetor. It's got a 2-piece cylinder, with the removable head, and it's full tilt. It's full tilt. What Pat built is still a work saw. It can't compete with something like that. So, anyways, just a little bit of chill the fuck out, to the people that are starting drama. I mean, I dig this stuff. It's chainsaws. I have fun, Ain't nobody bad-mouthing anybody. I sure as hell ain't bad-mouthing Aaron for this. So don't start on that. Don't start on that, I think that I just got my 3120 back in the mail because John Bob had some shit come up in his life, to where he needs to focus on other things and not build my 3120. Next thing y'all know, you're going to say that, Bodie was talking shit about John Bob. No, I am not. John Bob had some stuff come up in his life that he needs to deal with that are much more important than my chainsaw. And I understand that, What I don't understand is y'all sitting at home or on the toilet at work watching this video and you disagree with something that I say in some way, or you don't understand fully what I'm trying to say, and then you go spouting off, spreading drama. Don't do that. Keep it light. Have fun. Okay? And take care, guys. And peace and love to everybody, all right? Don't take things so seriously.